Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Longchamp Racecourse here on Friday. It's the 14th of July, 2023. It's Bastille Day from Longchamp, and I'm going to look at the Grand Prix de Paris and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Let's look at the action from Longchamp races 7, 8, and 9, the final three races on the program. The seventh race, it's the co-feature Group 2 Prix de MALLERET Stakes. It's a Group 2 event going for a purse of $138,000. Races for 3-year-old fillies here. 5 horses are going 2,400 meters or a mile and a half on the turf course. I'm going to take the 3 horse here, Robustinade, as a top selection. I'm going to go 3-4-1 in your tri-cast trifecta. 3-4-1 tri-cast trifecta. Top selection of 3 horse, Robustinade. 3-year-old filly by Seaback here. Miguel Dangles trains this one. Jean Massé, the veteran, gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 29th of May here at Longchamp, a mile and a half in their 3-year-old conditions novice race, and the horse finished third by a head that day, and she was staying the trip well. She had an all-out turn of foot. She just missed late, but she had a good trip that day. And Massé rode, terrifically. Coming to a Group 2, not the world's toughest race, I think the horse could find the winner's circle here today and go longer as the future goes on. Prior to that, the horse ran 26th of April at St. Cloud, a mile and a half heavy ground in the 3-year-old main race, and the horse won by 1/4 lengths that day, and she upset at 52-1, and she destroyed the group of horses. She took off clear, a small margin of victory, but she had a lot left in the tank. Keep in mind, Wise Girl, who finished second, was a next start winner, and then the first start is a 2-year-old at Monte Marsan, a mile and a quarter in conditions race. The horse finished 7th by 13 lengths, never really got going, has really blossomed to the 3-year-old campaign. Refreshing here, I'm giving her a massive shot on the ticket. The 4-horse Crack of Light for William Haggis, Tom Marquand, wouldn't surprise me if this horse wins, was a winner here in a Longchamp listed race over the mile and a half last month, and winning by a neck, all out easily, getting the job done. Prior to that, the races in the UK weren't bad at all. She's bred to go a mile, but she looks like she wants to get a mile and a half off of the way she runs. So the breeding is completely opposite with this one. But coming here today at 2-1, she could definitely win. I would use her in some multi-race scenarios. But to recount my selection for the 7 from Longchamp, it's the Group 2 Prix de MALLERET. Gonna take the 3 horse. Give kudos to the 4 horse Crack of Light. 3-4-1 tri-cast trifecta. 3-4 in your multi-race. The featured 8th race from Longchamp now. It's the Group 1 Grand Prix de Paris. It's a Group 1 event for Class 1 horses going for a $637,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds. Field of 8 horses going 2,400 meters or a mile and a half on the Paris Longchamp turf course. Gonna take the 6 horse First Minister as a top selection. 6-4 for me in your forecast exacta. 6-4 forecast exacta, top selection 6 horse. First Minister, this 3-year-old colt by Galileo. Andre Farb trains this one for Michael Tabor. Gets Muzabayev up in the saddle. And pardon me, every day I've been looking at Longchamp this spring and all the French races. I keep mispronouncing his name wrong, so I'll get the correct pronunciation soon, I promise. But horse's most recent outing came in the Group 3 Prix Quart at Longchamp. Miles race on the 25th of May, and the horse won easily by 1/4 lengths. Wasn't the world's toughest race, but he settled well from a tracking trip. When he got to the front and he kept going, an all-around good race. Stepping up to Group 1 quality horses. The UK Invaders have very good records in this race, especially the last few seasons, but I think this local horse could get the good trip and win today. I think he's going under the radar, and he's bred for a mile and a half through and through, it looks like. 2 back on the 27th of April, Longchamp, mouth rates in a conditions race. He finished second by 1 3/4 lengths. Feed the Flame, who's running back in this one today, really had a great jump to go away with it. This horse just kind of plodded along. I thought he needed something more. Wasn't a bad race. Keep in mind, Feed the Flame ran an okay 4th in the Grand Prix in the Prix de Jockey Club after that, so he did get beat by a slightly better horse on the day. But I think this horse goes up a lot more with a mile and a half than Feed the Flame. I think Feed the Flame really wants to stop at that mile and a quarter. But prior to that race, he ran the 1st of April, St. Cloud, a mile and a quarter in a conditions race, and I finished third by 2 3/4 lengths. He probably needed the race off the bench. He was just a little bit flat that day. Also, distance was just a little bit too short from that day. He won on debut at St. Cloud, though, before that in the main race, winning by a head. He was drawn in the parking lot that day, but he got over well. He was all out late, and he got the job done. A very good performance. He's definitely been improving as the class gets up, and he goes to a longer trip. Drawn well, 6-1. I'm going to use him. I think the your second likeliest one is the 4-horse Adelaide River for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. Most recently, the Irish Derby a few weeks ago, the horse finished second by 1/4 lengths behind Augustine Rodin, who just had the jump on this horse, but this horse was staying well. Prior to then, the Derby at Epsom, he was just drawn a little bit wide, which cost him. And then he had a decent place behind a rest that day in the Chester Vase. He has come over to France quite a few times in the past. He placed in the Prix de Chanis on this turf course as a 2-year-old, came back to St. Cloud to run in the Criterium de St. Cloud, where he finished third by 6 lengths, never really getting comfortable that day, but he's getting some slight class really from the Irish Derby and the Derby at Epsom. I'll give him a shot here at 7-1. He could definitely win. O'Brien and Moore have won this race in the past quite nicely. But to recap my selection for the 8th from Paddy Longchamp, it's the Group 1 Grand Prix de Paddy. Gonna take as a top selection the 6-horse First Minister. Give kudos to the 4-horse Adelaide River. 6-4 Forecast Exacta. Use them both in the multi-race. The 9th race, the nightcap on the program from Longchamp, it's the Group 2 Prix de MAURICE, the NIEUIL Stakes. It's a Group 2 event going for a purse of $138,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. 7 horses are going 2,800 meters or month 3/4 on the turf course. I'm going to take the 1-horse Sober as a top selection. Let's go 173 in your Tri-Cash Trifecta. 173 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection 1-horse Sober. 4-year-old Gelm by Camelot here. Andre Farb trains. Maxime Guillon gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Group 2 Prix Vocomtesse Vigier Stakes at Longchamp, mile 7/8 on the 29th of May. And the horseman knows that day. He was all out late staying the trip. The wire was coming. He held on. It was a good race. I do think today the cutback a furlong less to a mile 3/4 should suit him well, and also it's not the world's toughest race. He should get the good trip to win. 2 back in the Group 3 Prix de Barville at Longchamp, mile 7/8 on the 30th of March. He finished 7 by 4.5 lengths that day, and he just never really got going as a lukewarm 3-1 favorite. He was plodding along, just never getting the good turn of foot. And then off the bench at Chantilly, a mile 5/8 on the poly track in a conditions race, he won by a nose. He timed the race beautifully, and he got the job done. You know, if you look at some of the horses he's facing in France last year, he was running against some tough horses in that staying group. Coming here today, back to a furlong less, which I think he's been crying out for. He should get the job done. The 7-horse River of Stars for Theo Bachelet and Ralph Beckett wouldn't surprise me if this horse wins. And the Broad Cup, she won by a nose that day at York, winning quite nicely, setting in a good fraction late. Going to the longer trip for the first time in a little bit. Last year she won a very nice staying race at Chester over the summer and won on the poly track last July at Lingfield also nicely. She could prove she could stay against the fillies. Coming here facing the boys, I'll give her a shot here on the ticket of 9-1. But to recap my selection for the 9th from Paddy Longchamp here on Bastille Day, it's the Group 2 Prix Maurice de NIEUIL. Gonna take the 1-horse Sober. Give kudos to the 7-horse River of Stars. 173 Tri-Cash Trifecta. 1-7 in the multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.